Yeah, we have.
Was that in my school?
Okay, looks like it works.
Like, hey now, do I want to put out?
Yeah.
You're gonna be my neighbor.
Welcome home, Brad.
Hold on, I can't push my. Hold on a second.
Set up a little bit.
I know, we're like all pushing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and he's not coming right, he's straight.
Yeah. You got to straddle your calculator.
Clinton, did you want us to hear?
I do not need a computer.
Okay. You didn't want one? Okay. I don't know why I just want to say all this time out before I do anything.
I think, yeah, I spent too much time messing with this, trying to figure it out.
Alright.
New fatal thing. Yeah, these two things. Thanks. I'm the record.
I
remember that.
Okay, now that Brianna finally has a name.
The drawings and the keyboard. Is a beautiful.
That's it.
Oh, you want the public to know.
All right. Please here.
Wow. Okay, already.
All right, let's get this party started. Welcome to the January meeting. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's hard to see, but there's some goodies over there for appreciation.
Oh,
Joe,
you, behind the table,
they're hiding behind the lip of the table back there.
So I think I would like to make a change to the agenda for tonight. I can find it on here now. The charter contract for public input. I thought we were supposed to be having the public hearing tonight. Yes, no?
Yes.
Well, seeing as how I don't see public, and we didn't have the most current version to review, I think that our public hearing should probably get postponed, but that's. I know when I went through the charter, I found I made a lot of notes and had lots of questions.
Okay, well, maybe we can address those tonight then, if that's what you think is best use of time. How do you want to do it?
Yeah, I don't know, because they might have been resolved. Yeah. So. Would you, you guys agree that,
I'm fine with that.
okay,
That's your problem.
Yeah, I think it would take quite a while. I think I would like to kind of look over it, I think, as I had some things that I'm gonna be quite a few notes, and then, wow, it's gonna take me a while to see it.
If they've been resolved.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it would be nice to kind of briefly go over it. I know we don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but get some things started in a short period of time.
Particularly if there's areas of concern in the content of that I've done, because then if there are areas of concern in the content, then I can get busy with the attorneys and writing whatever needs to be written.
perfect. Okay. All right,
So we would like a motion, Val, is that correct, to change the agenda to, push this out to our next meeting?
well, we can discuss the charter contract. I just don't know if we need a different public hearing because it wasn't finalized going out to the public, so. Is that,
I would agree that we'll have another public hearing. When did the public get a chance to see the final draft?
Yeah, what did you say? Haven't yet, but that doesn't.
Okay.
You see it's gone.
okay, so.
Agree.
So I guess we could keep the charter contract for a discussion item, but not for public input? Is that how we think first? Okay. No. But we can share if you'd like. That's fine. There. Okay. All right, so, entertain a motion for the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda with the exception of the changes to the section on the school charter.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Yep. All right. Charter Board meeting report.
Yeah, so, the charter board met this evening, Kathy was ill, and so she had a considerable portion of the agenda that she was going to present to them. So they focused on the two items that was on that agenda, which one was, taking a final look at the contract and giving a recommendation for, I don't know if they did that or not, I had to step out. And the other part of it was to go into executive session to do my evaluation. So I know that they moved on my evaluation work. They did that in probably 40 minutes of their hour that they met this afternoon. And they didn't have students present today for that reason. They intended to do that work. And I don't know where they ended up arriving on the contract that I haven't reviewed.
They approved this, with the knowledge that there might be punctuation changes, but with not, language.
No concern for content.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is-
I didn't know that, so.
Okay.
And that was all Kevin, but they did have, 5 members present out of 6. So, we're getting good participation and our student participation has been good as well. As a matter of fact, we just had an application for the 6th position. Okay.
Okay.
So they invited me again in February, and I believe that time will probably include that parent for that position. Her daughter's a junior, her son is an 8th grader, so I think she'll be around for a while.
All right. Any public input?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna skip item 6 because it's not yet 6:30, so auditor probably not here yet. No. It's us to discussing the charter contract. So we were all given copies a couple months ago, probably.
November.
And I'm assuming most of us reviewed that. Is that accurate? So the charter board had a final draft that they were looking at tonight. So we probably need to review it. I'm sure it looks like they have made some changes. But if we want to go through some of our notes that we made on the other one, then
I see a copy of the one that you know, that she did you just a moment. Yep. Then I want to make sure that, I want to say something, but I want to make sure it's accurate. What I say. It's not there, it's that way, it's whatnot, and then what you guys have to live with.
And-
Oh, so there's, one substantial change, and that's in the area of reports. Okay, and that's where, you may have heard me talking to the charter board about this, but, I have an extensive conversation with our attorney, because the OSBA said one thing and our attorney said another. OSBA said that, and I may have told this group this before, but the OSBA told me that in our contract, that we were required to make an annual report to the board, but all it had to be basically was, at the same time that I gave you our Division 22 report, that I could basically say that this covers, by doing that, it basically covers our charter school report. Okay, and OSBA said that's satisfactory to do that. When our attorneys reviewed that portion, they said, no, this is supposed to be more detailed. So in the one that you have, you'll see 6 bullet points that are called out that they say should be reviewed annually. Now, we do talk about those things, but the attorney says we ought to do it like more specifically as a charter board report. And so that there's a delineation between it and Division 22. And I thought, well, that's fine. And it's not going to be any difference for me, whether it's said today or tomorrow, right? It's all, the information is all still going to be there. And down the road, we're going to want that clarity too, right? That expectation is there for the next 10 years in the contract, right? So that's one difference that you'll see between those documents. When it comes to the content, I also noticed, and I'm just going to pick on Valerie because I do enjoy doing that. That there's, that she has some DCCS facilitator versus district, okay? And so I will say that the charter board spent like a tremendous amount of time trying to get that right, if you will, on how that stuff is called out there. So I don't know how confusing that was to you guys. It was horribly confusing to us, okay? And they tried to clean it up, and that's the ability. If you guys got recommendations on how you want that done differently, I'm totally fine with that. All I do know is that there does need to be delineation between the two in the contract because that's actually the point of having the contract.
It was a little confusing to me when I was reading charter. And there's a lot of talk about the DCCS. And I'm like, okay, well, we're one school, well, and a preschool.
Right.
And all our employees are employees of the districts. And they just happen to, the majority of them work at DCCS.
Right.
So, yeah, there was some confusion there, trying to figure out.
And
Right where you
I
got
totally get why, because the original charter was drafted when Tiller still existed.
Exactly.
So we had the two different site thing going on, and so this delineation was even more critical then. And so I was trying to see how much we might be able to rub out and just get like a single entity thing going on. Once again, actually OSBA put like a note of that because they said you've got to delineate between the two. Because the other part of it is that the state of Oregon awarded the charter. And so it's an entity. And as much as we might sit around the table going, well, that entity's us. And we all feel that. In the eyes of the state, it's a separate entity. There's even some language in the charter, in charter law that goes so far as to say that should the entity have to be absolved, that the resources from that entity go back to the state in some ways.
Right, which I remember that
Yeah.
went, how about to the district?
Yeah, right? I mean, so there's just some really odd stuff in there, like, and I've vetted that stuff. And as odd as the language is, they said, well, that's the way it has to be written. And so it's like, I don't understand why. You still. So if that's some of the points, that's fine. I'm happy to even go back to them to say why. I'm happy to do any of that. Okay. Any questions you forgot about, I'm really happy to pursue any of those. And I may actually already have answers to some of them because there was some head scratching, definitely. But
So I have a couple of questions.
yeah,
So on page 7, it talks about the charter board will authorize textbooks, curriculum, and plan course adoption for its program according to state laws and district policies. So that sounds like it's the charter board that approves it, and I thought the district board was the one that had to.
so in the original charter, that's one of the powers and authorities that the school board had given the charter. And that was kind of like the ambition behind the charter is that they have a focus on curriculum and academic achievement scores. Okay, and so that's why that's in there, because that's,
So it sounds like they have the final say, so.
No.
oh, no, you guys have to find
So
out.
it says it somewhere later that we have the final authority.
Okay.
It's, they kind of run the filters for that stuff.
So where does it say that it's the district?
Oh,
So I was reading from page 7, curriculum, under the one head.
One of the old ones.
And the one that I was given to take home.
okay, so what you have,
And the new one. as well.
but so the contract is between the school board and the charter school. Okay, and the charter board oversees that contract. And the contract is, this board is saying, yes, we will give you the authority to do this work for us. Okay, and the expectation is that they'll do it up to the performance of the students, up to the standard deviations inside the student achievement performance. Okay, if the students, frankly, you guys had a right to dissolve that charter about 4 years ago because of student achievement scores. Frankly, when I get down to it, okay? Not that I would have recommended that, but I'm just saying that by student performance standards and what was written in the document, the district, the school and the charter board were not performing up to the contract agreement between the charter board and the charter school and the school district. And it's confusing, Charlie, I get that, but
I don't see any place where it designate that to the district as having the final say.
well, the way you always know that is you guys are the elected officials. And the community elected you guys to oversee this district. Okay, and while these guys help, they're not elected officials. You guys are elected officials.
Well, so do we need to rewrite that part or what?
Which
Add
part?
a sentence to
Which,
page 7, as under the curriculum number 1, at the very end of that paragraph.
Yeah, because there's lots of places, I feel like it said, final authority is given to district board, but can I find those spots now? Yeah.
It's in status of DCCS employees, and it says the district board shall have the final decision making authority for the selection and hiring evaluations of discipline for DCCS teaching, administrative, operations staff. Shall collaborate in hiring and evaluations. And I've been in other places too, but it's just not there. I don't know why it would be there.
But that's talking about.
Yeah,
the
well,
Right.
I don't know why
That
it
was
would be
my other
there.
thing that I wanted to bring up.
well, before you jump on to another point, let's try to finish this one up here. So you'd like to see added at the end of the general requirements for curriculum, something that says the final decisions are the DCCS shall authorize the DCCS board. Authorized technically, and you want that to say something about this
District board,
district board has a final say on.
Yeah, that's what I've experienced here. But that's what I thought I experienced, was told me the way it is, and that's not.
Well, that is how it is. That is how it is.
Okay, the language doesn't reflect that.
Because essentially, we have to give them the funding to purchase that curriculum, so we don't breathe and we don't give them the funding. But I don't disagree that having it spelled out
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any opposition to that. I mean,
And so then my other question was on this one that she just brought up about the board having the authority to hire and fire, basically, what I think that is, on the page. What are we looking to do? On page 12 at the very bottom, section 11, DCCS personnel procedures. Oh,
okay, well,
page 12 at the bottom, section
I
11.
don't think it's there. I think it's movement.
I'm working on it.
It might be that.
I'm getting there.
13 for you,
Thank you.
maybe.
Sections,
Section. Yeah, okay.
section 11A.
Hold on, maybe that.
The district board shall have the final decision. making authority to apply.
That's what I was missing is at the very bottom of that page. That's all, I'm sorry, so go ahead, Charlie.
If you're on
Section A. Okay,
the district board shall have the final decision-making authority for the selection and hiring, evaluation, discipline, and dismissal of DCS teaching, administrative, and operations staff. The district board and the charter board shall collaborate in the hiring and the evaluation of DCS superintendent. So on that, that's more what you do, isn't it? As opposed to, in the people that
no, hired, no, you guys have final say.
We do.
Yeah, you guys have final say. Yeah, remember when I bring in that list, and I'm gonna be doing
I
it.
do, but that was kind of like after the fact, it seemed to me.
No, that's why I'm doing it in March. It's
Okay.
because you guys, that's why I bring it in here and we have that meeting in executive session. Because I have been in those meetings before where I rolled out the information. I've had board members say, hey, wait a minute, I'm not okay with James Ellis, okay, or whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
Okay, or, you know, and it's like, and it gets out on the table.
Okay,
And so, and honestly, we've not been there, but it is possible that we could be there, where I have a staff member and you guys are like going, hey, wait, Joe, I'm not really comfortable with this, I mean, I would hope that we'd have a conversation before we ever got to that. But it's like, hey, I'm not really comfortable with the performance of this person. I've had concerns expressed about this, that, and the other. You know, in executive session, we could do that because that's what those sections are for, to talk confidentially about employees that way. But at the end of the day, you have the authority to say, I don't agree with this. I'm not going to approve that list. Now, you might be the only dissenting vote, okay? But you have the authority to do that. And the group could say, we're not okay with this either. And you actually have the authority to go against my or any other superintendent's recommendations.
okay.
And if you've ever got employees that you're dissatisfied with and your superintendent isn't doing the job, the problem's not the employee, the problem's the superintendent. Okay, if they're not fulfilling your expectations for the performance of your staff, that's your superintendent's fault. Okay, if you say, hey, I'm not okay with the way James Ellis has been doing this for years in this way, and we're not seeing change, and I just can't vote for him on this list. I do, that's okay. Anyway, but you know what I'm saying? That's just the truth. That's really the way this goes. And the superintendent is then the issue, because then that superintendent is not doing your bidding. And if you came to me, Charlie, and you said something like that about a different person, not James, if you said something about a staff member where you had a problem, I would try to address that issue with that staff member. And then I would double back with you and say, hey, this is the conversation I had with that staff member. And if that was unsatisfactory, you'd say, Joe, that's unsatisfactory. I really hope you make these points. Okay, then I go back to that person. I try to make, I'm that intermediary to make sure that what you feel needs to be done is being done. And if you were dissatisfied with my work on that, you still could dissent on the vote. You could approve all except somebody on the vote. It would be on record that way. Okay, not that the vote was not unanimous. Not that Charlie doesn't like James. Okay, but all of those things, and so the whole thing really rests on your superintendent doing the job that you need him to do or she to do in that capacity for the community. So I hope that
Yeah,
that's, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, and so the wording of that has been correct, and. I
Yeah,
just
yes,
wanted to clarify that.
yeah, you guys have the final say. And even then I come in here and say, James Ellis is a great guy, usually I say, we don't care. We will not award him a contract. Is this why you want me to come in? Yeah, well, yeah. Well, you can not get an agenda, that's my new trick, is I like to change the agenda and do different stuff, you know. Anyway, so, yeah, but thank you for that. Okay, so are there other items of content there, though, that you get?
It's 6:30 about, is our auditor here or? No?
Yes, and I'll show Friday, 6:30. Okay, so that's 6:29.
I'm highly happy.
Something else that I wanted to, one of the other things I want to bring up is there was always this question, it seems like, of the executive director and the superintendent.
Yes.
And so I kind of did a little research on that today, and if we can just call them the superintendent and not a director.
Sure.
And from what I could read, the superintendent is up here and the executive director is underneath them, so he's kind of got.
That's the way I treat him.
Is that a floating thing? Is there a super ego involved?
Actually, he's my scapegoat, you know, the executive director just did it, was, yeah. Yeah, that's easy to do.
I don't know if we can just say the superintendent and just have it in the job duties that that's part of your role is guiding in that realm.
I think the only thing I would add to that is that, as you get into the next, contract cycle, making sure we remove that language across the board. All right, like even on signature lines and all those things like that. Just make, if that's a change that we want to make in this, then going forward, we just want to be conscious of that, and make sure that we remove executive director listings from the volume.
Yeah,
Because
I
it's
feel
all,
like-
it's all over the place.
And yet it's not in other, like, it's very inconsistent currently, because I don't, yeah.
I will tell you, no love lost over here. I hate that. He's nothing good, yeah.
Was there something else anybody wanted to bring up before we meet with the auditor?
That's great.
That's a lot of work. Good job.
You know, I'll tell you, I'm actually proud of the charter board. I wish, matter of fact, I'd like that to actually even go on record, frankly, because they worked hard on it. I mentioned that we had, I don't know if you guys were here, but we had, 5 out of 6 present tonight for our meeting. 4 of those 5 are 4 of the 5 who've been working on the edits. Almost the entire charter board was working on the edits the whole time. Yeah, so I'm just really, they've really leaned into it and we've met probably 4 or 5 times to provide stuff. And I gotta say, you know, it bumps me out when I talk to COSA, I'm sorry, OSBA, and I get one set of directions, and then our trees are in such a different place. I really, when I first was starting into this, I thought, it's gonna be, close. We ran up about $600 in attorney bill on this. Just going through, no, that's not a lot for attorneys, right? But I mean, still,
Right.
but still.
What, an
That's
hour and a
about
half?
500 more than I thought we'd be spending, because I really thought it was gonna be closer to that. Now, I don't begrudge the fact that it's good, it's cleaner, but I was really surprised.
Good for 10 years, so if we put a little bit into it, it's a good thing.
Yeah, okay, absolutely, Charlie, I absolutely agree with you. Yeah, get it good and clean, so.
You tend to go more with OSBA or the attorney as far as the bulk of the disagreements?
It depends upon if you're asking me about what I think is better or what I would prefer.
Well, what we ended up finding, what did the final product end up?
Oh, the final product's better, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
More with the
Absolutely better.
More with the attorneys than OSBA, you think?
I suppose the correct answer would be yes.
Okay.
I guess OSBA comes at it from a little bit more practical standpoint, and the attorneys from a more clarified standpoint.
All about words.
So, yeah, so, but in the end, I find that I think it's best, just to Charlie's point, actually, which is like, it's a cleaner document
Mhm.
that's gonna be, that'll live better longer than one that's just a little bit too gray and loose.
And how often do you have to redo this?
Every 10 years.
Every 10 years?
Yeah.
Well, then you can live a long time. That's a long time.
Yeah,
Are we updating bylaws as well?
we will, until this years.
Yeah,
Okay, charter first and then
yeah,
bylaws.
seriously.
No reason
We
to
save
save
our,
out of
and
it.
to save our work a lot of time.
Okay. All right, so our homework for next month is we're gonna review the charter again. Back with comments.
One of the things I'd like to say for that meeting is that, I will make these changes for that next meeting. But please don't let that stand in the way of your opinions of the document. And if you have some things that you'd like to share with me between here and there, that'd be wonderful. I really don't mind, you know. Throw it at me or come by, whichever way works best for you. I don't want us to get into February and go, gosh, let's do this again in March or even May. I enjoyed this so much. Because I do want to get us to a place where we can agree on it.
We had you guys worked hard to get it done ahead of schedule or ahead of the.
Yeah, well, and
deadline.
just in case we have these months, right? So we're good, we're still good, okay? And the other part is if we have a public hearing that in February, well, like we're planning to do, and we have somebody roll in here and say, I've got some concern with article, section, whatever, and you guys see absolute reason in that, great, then let's change it, okay? What we roll in here in February does not have to be etched in stone. We just need to be making sure the content is good, and if we see other errors, of course, we want to clean those up. But the point is let's get to the content clarity. And if there's outside objection to that, we can listen to that and adjust if we feel we need to. And come back in March with those adjustments for a final draft and approval.
So how does a member of the public see this and have comments for the next meeting and maybe be able to be enlightened by the changes that you're asking for along the way? Like if I saw you next week and say, hey, Joe, okay, well, you're gonna make that change without us all discussing
It should be posted on our website.
website. So that at least,
So I'll make sure that it is. That's a great point.
because if we do make changes, then the people are gonna show up here.
Right. No,
I'm assuming there's nothing to shake your fist at.
no, but that's fair. Well, if we want to engage public, we want to provide them an opportunity to engage. We want them to know how to, right?
Probably the same amount of public is gonna show up tonight.
No, I understand that. It is part of that. It is part of.
Yeah, I know. It's the right thing to
Yeah.
do.
There are some public who choose to be engaged at different times in different ways.
Well, perhaps on the 22nd, available to us.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea.
Oh, yeah, to mention it at the thing.
It's a great idea. I will.
There you go.
Ash, can you hear us?
Say I'll do that.
Yes, can you all hear us now?
Okay, yes, we'll
Oh, perfect.
see if we can make it louder.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay, so here we go. Hello.
Saf, can you hear us?
I can. I was working on unmuting. Some technical difficulties. So I'm gonna speak before Ash. I don't have the ability to put my face on screen right now, but I just wanted to start out. So my name's Savannah. We've been working with the district for quite a while now. I am the communications manager for UVF. As always, it has been great working with Leah. She's very timely about getting us information. The board was pretty good about answering those pesky inquiries that we have to email out, and I'm sorry about those. But all in all, the audit was great. A clean audit, no findings, which is always good news for us and for you guys. It makes for an easy audit. But we do want to thank Leah, the team, the board, for just volunteering your time. It is not an easy thing to get through, and you, the board, as volunteers, you do make a difference in the district. You make a difference in the audit as far as, answering those questions and whatnot. So we do thank you. Big round of applause for Leah. She is great to work with. And we look forward to next year. By look forward, I mean talking to her. The work isn't as fun as talking, but we'll get there. But I am going to pass it along to Ash now. She's gonna put up a PowerPoint presentation for you guys. We're gonna make it short and sweet. That way we don't take up too much of your guys' time. of course, you have any questions, we will go ahead and we'll answer them for you.
Righty. Thanks, Savannah. I hope everyone can see my screen. All right. Thank you, Borden. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present the audit report. Like Savannah said, thank you.
Ash.
Thank
we
you.
can't see your
We can't-
screen. We
yeah, we
cannot
can't-
see your screen.
Yeah, we can't see the screen.
We see you.
We see you.
Oh,
See
you can't
you,
see the
but
screen. Okay.
yeah, change this.
Let's
There
see.
we go. Perfect.
Oh.
Nope.
Okay, let me try that again. Can you all see the screen?
We still.
Oh, I can do it.
Okay, now you can see the screen, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. All right. Well, I'll start that again. Well, I would just like to thank the board for their time, and then Leah and their team for being very, excellent in organization and responsiveness throughout the audit, which made this audit process go very smoothly. I'll try to be quick and not take so much of time. Just to give an overall aspect of the audit, let me see if I can move this. Just to give an overall aspect of the audit, we are required to do a significant range of procedures, including making inquiries, gaining understanding of the internal controls and policies and procedures, as well as we test the accuracy of transactions, verify account balances, review wide range of records as well. While we are on site, while for the field work, we review the process on internal controls, and we also perform walkthroughs to confirm these controls are working as intended. So overall, these are just a few significant procedures that we perform for our audit process. Moving on for the audit report, the audit opinion is located on the page I of the audit report. We have issued an unmodified opinion in which in turn it means there's no material misstatement in the financial report and the audit is a clean report. So no material misstatement. Just quickly looking through the statement of net position, which is located on page 11. The net position from prior year to current year has increased over 35%. Of course, there is an increase in asset as well as a little bit of increase in liabilities. But overall, the net position of the district is moving in a positive direction, and that's a great thing. Looking into the statement of activities, which is just a profit and loss statement. Technically, it is just telling you that although the primary the governmental activities expenses exceeded the program revenues by $3.1 million. However, it is very common across all the school district. But however, the general revenues, which made up of $4.4 million, which is significantly more than the loss that was above. So the difference of that 1.3 million, which is a change in net position, technically revenue minus expenses. So overall, it's moving in a positive direction. Looking into the audit budget versus general fund, located on page 51, the total revenues came in $17,000 more than what was budgeted, as well as the expenses were $903,000 less than what was budgeted. So overall, the ending fund balance increased by $140,000, and it is in a positive note. One final thing is the charter school was not subject to single audit, so there was no single audit for this year. Do anybody have any questions?
For her last statement was, we're not subject to single audit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Was there a question?
They want to know, what does it mean to have, that we don't have a single audit?
So the federal expenditures should be spent more than $750,000, and that was whereas for the charter, Days Creek Charter, it was less than $750,000. For next year, 2026, that threshold is now $1 million.
If we didn't get more than 750% of the motion federal funding.
Okay,
And like ESSER funds, we've always been getting 400,000 in a year, so we're always having to do a single audit and top of that.
okay, oh, I see.
Actually, they have a special audit just for federal. Yeah, we go over that stuff.
But we didn't in this,
We did not do it in this
and
last.
likely won't have to for current. Okay.
Do we have any other questions or concerns?
What primarily makes up the increase in the net position? The 1,000,003 increase in the net position, where does that come from?
So technically the increase in net position is technically comes from the summary of revenues and expenditures. So statement of activities listed on page, what did I say, page 12 of the audit report. Technically, it just tells you what was the revenue that came in and then the expenses. So taking the difference of those two is your change in net position. And also there is in the MD&A section, which is the management discussion and analysis, on page 5, that kind of gives you a more detailed aspect of the change in net position in the categories.
Thank you.
What caused the large increase in the grants, you guys, this year? What
Seismic.
was it?
The seismic.
Oh, the seismic.
Yeah. That's the only, not one that you usually get. There was just a big fund for the last, you'll see that for 2 years.
Sure.
We do the seismic, yeah. Yeah, that's why that was a percentage change.
Okay, so
Any other questions? No. Okay, I think we're good.
Perfect.
All right.
All right, thank you so much, Ash, I appreciate it, you guys and your team, thank you.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a good evening.
Happy New Year.
You too, thanks.
Thank you.
It's cats. Lots of cats. Is it moving?
All right, moving on to our discussion items. The superintendent evaluation. This is on here just as a reminder that if you have not completed your evaluation, you have 1 more week. Please have it to Holly by the 19th. We will be in executive session at our February meeting. Holly may be here, and have that compilation for us to review and finalize, and we should have the charter board stuff as well, so we can put final touches on it and then give it to him in March. So we're on schedule. Yeah, we're gonna give it to Kelly.
This could be development.
I have mine done, I just haven't submitted it yet, I think I might edit it a little, but I've probably even to change them. No, it didn't. It's not. You said executive session in March.
February and March, probably. As far as submitting them, if you don't have a scanner to scan an email to Holly, you can hand it to me and I'll get it to her. I can certainly take care of that. Yeah, so you
You
have,
guys are gonna need a copy of what we said.
uh,
Do we need to keep a copy of what we said?
no, I'll bring it back to you if
Okay.
you'd like. Yeah, I'll just scan it and then bring it back to you. So,
Yes, good. Okay.
Either way works. She's probably more. Hey, that's the word I was trying to come up with, yes. Any questions on that? Okay, perfect. 26, 27 school calendar.
Okay, so I actually moved that off of you guys because I just had a teacher, I had, Karen White came to me today, I'm sorry. Karen White came to me today with some staff concerns for the calendar,
Okay.
and I'll just share with you what those are. They were mostly around the dates when we have our 3 dates on the calendar when we ask staff to work till 8 p.m. 2 of them are conferences and 1 of them is back to school bash. And we adjust the day so that their 8 hours is at a different time. On the conference days, we actually had them work 12-hour days and given them a 4-hour day that follows. Okay, so they're always compensated appropriately and there's not overtime that's been accumulated. But in this particular case, she came to me literally today and said that they would like to have us examine a way to move that around so it doesn't go as late as 8 o'clock. I said, well, the reason it goes till 8 o'clock is because not all parents can be here during school hours. Okay.
Right.
And so, maybe we go, instead of going 2 to 8, we go 1 to 7. Maybe that's something. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring this back to you after I've had a chance to talk to the whole teaching staff and find out just how large of a concern this is, or if it's a concern of a few. Because what I can do is I can poll the staff to find out how important this is of an issue today. And if they feel that it is an important issue, then I can maybe even go, I don't see going earlier than 7. I mean, because, I will tell you that historically, this 7 to 8 hour is weakest time. So I can live with 1 to 7, but going earlier than 7 just doesn't make sense to me, frankly. Because we have parents who not just work, but they work their roles. Okay, so, anyway.
7:30 would be a compromise.
I'm sorry.
You could go 7:30.
Yeah, 7:30, yeah, and I will say, to the credit of the teaching staff, that they do like go out and reach out to parents and they do do it all week long. It's not just a single day, even on the Friday day after they call, they make appointments with parents. But all of those things are still during those daylight hours of instructional time. And so all that to say that I think we have a little bit more work to do on it before the board really considers it for the final budget.
Okay, Mr. Ellis, baseball and softball co-ops.
So I'm seeking approval of the baseball and softball co-ops. Just received word officially from Riddle that their board and their superintendent has approved a softball co-op. And I have that digital form that you got a copy of that as well. Make through the OSA for the softball. And then I just got word 2 days ago through the grapevine. It's not official yet, so I haven't seen that digital document that South Umpqua is willing to co-op with us too. The South Umpqua piece is a little bit more involved because they have 35 kids they think in their own program. And so if they take on kids, then there's going to be the possibility of kids being cut, which I understood. I don't know how many kids we're going to have. I know of 2 solid commitments. I don't know, roaming the halls again today, talking to kids. There was a couple of, there was one other, I want to play. And he's a JV type of player anyway. And so I talked to him about the cutting thing. He says, I'd still like to try. So I think we've got 3 kids maybe. One of the things that I did discuss with the South Umpqua with their athletic director, and it's just in the preliminary stages, is if we had, say 5 or 6 kids that wanted to go with, and they didn't have money for funding, or there were some issues that came up with their JV program, that maybe since we're saving money, we could look at some of the expenses for their program. over there, and it would be extensive, but I thought it might be something we already budgeted for. Right here, I do love that, but he said, oh, that'd be great, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think that we're gonna have enough kids. To do anything, so.
He basically doesn't think they're gonna have enough kids for.
I don't think we're gonna have enough kids.
So I see.
I don't know if we're gonna have enough kids. He was just concerned that he doesn't want it to look bad if we had, and I told him, I said, well, if we had that many kids, we wouldn't be sending them there.
Yeah.
He said, well, what if you have, 9, 10, 11 kids come on? And I said, well, we wouldn't be coming over.
Yeah.
If we did. He says, oh, yeah, that makes sense. He says, but if we have 35 more old kids, he says, it makes it really hard on us as a school district to take your kids in. And they take time of ours. And I said, I get it, I understand all of that. But he said, this is a couple, 3 kids. And he said, it's not the issue. I think that's probably what we're gonna wind up with. But so we can at least offer baseball for the few kids that really want to play. And softball. But hopefully the goal is to bring it back here. But this year it's just not gonna. It's just not gonna happen. So I'm seeking approval for that, for you guys, because you have to sign off on that. The superintendent does with your with the outstate. To move forward on that. As far as coaches goes, coaching and that might be a question. That would be something that we have to work out with, their district and our athletic director. I know that Riddle, softball is open to our coaching, but they've got 3 coaches, and so they don't necessarily need a coach. But they would be open to someone if we had somebody that was interested. Softball, I haven't gone down that, or baseball, I haven't gone down that road. I'm not sure if our coach is actually that interested yet, being completely involved. We talking what is loving, if it's just there. And I think if we do that, I think we offer my recommendation would be to offer our companies contract, I know our budgets. So we're paying for our coaches to work for that. We all think we do. Yeah.
We did last year, I think they go. It's nice to have somebody to be able to drive them back and forth.
Yes, yeah, it was. And with softball right now, honestly, we're looking at maybe only 2 kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was kind of shocked at that. We. Any questions about that? Concerns or thoughts or?
What's the difference in the participation? What's changed, do you think? You've been around this a long time, so.
Honestly, in a small school, it's our track program's pretty strong. And it takes away, if we didn't have one or the other, I think we'd love to wanna. I think if we didn't have, I don't think, if we didn't have track, we'd probably love it, I'd need to go softball. But we do have track, athletes are pretty successful. That's part of it. Baseball and softball are more of a, and track is too, but baseball and softball, they're a very skilled, specific sport.
Or they start late.
If you don't start in at the younger ages, you don't come in and play baseball. High school player, you're not very good. It's just really, really skill specific. And a lot of kids want to play, but if they don't start till high school, it's a hard thing. But the real problem is we struggle with community teams in the summer, like the minors and majors and things like that, where we go off to Mountain Creek or wherever, play different things. And then you talk about transportation, so it's a handful of kids. Instead of like, when I grew up here, we had 15, 16 kids that played summer baseball.
Right.
And that just doesn't exist anymore. It's just travel. It's just families aren't gonna do that.
Right.
So it's like that. I think we have some middle school interest, but again, we need somewhere, somehow to program.
So
There's no middle school
we
baseball.
are signed up through SESPA, I signed us up through SESPA, that we have kids that want to play, they can go on and sign up. Something with them I need to talk to, Randy about is that sometimes rather than placing, like, if we had enough kids in Days Creek for a team, like right after school, they could go down and practice. Sometimes rather than putting them together on the same team, they go by their home address. And so they're pulling the kids that we would have a team with from this community to somewhere else, which some parents are like, well, the practice is closer to home, stuff, but most parents are like, well, if they can just walk from school down to the ball field and practice, and then I have to pick them up, that's easier, that's great, you know, I don't have to worry about getting them to practice, that's extra childcare basically, you know, and so that's something I will try to talk with them about this year, because I feel like there are some age groups where we could have our own teams, but, everybody has signed up through SESPA now, and so before it used to be like the smaller communities, like Glendale, Riddle, Days Creek, Canyonville, all, like if we had 8 kids for a team, and like there was one kid that was a little too young, like wanted to play up, they can play up on the team and we can make a team. And now that the SESPA thing is, they're very strict on the ages.
South
South Iowa Summer Baseball Association. And, yeah, so they changed it to SBA, really, South County, SBA, South County Athletics, yeah. And, so it's easy to sign up through them, because if you sign up through them and you have a team with the experience, all we have to provide is a coach, and somebody else does the uniforms and like make sure there's an ump there and stuff like that, so that's very convenient. But by doing that,
You don't necessarily get your kid.
you don't necessarily get our kids on our own team and that help our programs in the future. So I will be going to Rainy.
I thought that conversation with Randy,
Yeah.
because right now we have a basketball team here, and it's right now, Dave's.
So is Randy open to that?
He is, that's always, every time I go to, I said, hey, we always have to go and try to get a Dave's Creek team.
Yeah.
And that's the goal.
And he
Every
works
time
the
we
board
like,
for the
I've got like
volunteers.
we get like 5 kids, and like, it's not enough to make a team, so then we always move them over to Canyonville.
Yeah, which would make that, which by doing that, you lose kids.
And then.
Because some people are like, I'm not willing to take my
And then
kid.
other kids like, well.
to Canyonville.
There's 3 kids, and I send them to Canyonville.
Yeah.
Exactly, so it's
So
always
we
been like
can always-
close.
We can always pull out
Yeah.
of that and try to find other people, but I think basically everybody around here is signed up under it, so it'd be like a non-league, which would be funny. Just playing people, trying to get included in their schedule, but they're getting very particular about the schedule. And so it's really killing a lot of the smaller school programs in this area.
Why are they so?
Because because travel ball infiltrate is like regular ball. And so travel ball is a big deal. Like it's a big commitment, it's a big deal and stuff. And so some of the rules from all that is kind of infiltrating this, and they're not realizing how it's killing some of the smaller communities in their team.
It's been funny because basketball is that the opposite happened, where we had about 4 of our kids sign up, and we had 5 a Days Creek. And so then we had our own coach, and he said, I want to be practicing here. And then we had 3 players quit because they're coming from Myrtle Creek. So we had 8 kids.
But there are kids. There
I've got the
are
kids.
kids, right?
Yeah, so that's
So
what
our 5, so we had 6 kids show up, and I said, hey Randy, everything's closed, I said, if I go back to Days Creek, and I said, hey guys, practice is here, who else wants in? And I had 2 moms sign us back up, so now we've got 8 kids, 7 of which are Days Creek. So it's like, we were able to kind of, because it said it's here, same thing, when people find out that it's actually here. we've got-
more people will sign up, but if they find, if they,
Yeah, that we're gonna have after school, down, a lot of people have asked me. If it's after school, going down there doing a rookies team like we did.
Yeah.
Years ago or something, I don't know any longer now. Then they said that was perfect, so yeah, they would do it. So it's just getting that word out, but getting the word out that like now, you know, when you go to. sign
yes,
up-
and lots of people try to sign their kid up like in April and May when they start thinking about baseball for the sun coming out, and actually signups are January, February.
Yeah.
I think March of the
So
time.
it's like, yeah, now that we have that parent,
And so,
I'm hoping for better communication with parents and that parent packet and everything. and-
maybe we can include one of the Susquehanna or South County things on our website
Yeah.
for parents as an option for elementary.
So if it's now, what about the 22nd? And with the state of our schools?
Could I be like, maybe get a whole, maybe Randy would come and,
What's Randy's last name?
Camp.
And then I guess I haven't paid that much attention to that. I'm sitting here thinking, well, how did we end up with this nice baseball field? We put a lot of money into, leading on a baseball program.
we were about
had one-
3 years too late. We had a bunch of kids come through that were all in these programs and like I would leave here with my van full of kids and I drop off kids in Riddle for practice, like South Umpqua, and then we go to the Road Creek Park and I drop off kids there, then I have to go pick up these kids from practice and then get these. And I mean, it was like, I had kids going to practice everywhere down there for years, and like a couple of, like the year before me, we had a lot of kids. So if we'd had that field done a few years earlier, it would have been a bigger deal, and I think the program would have rolled better. And so it's just, We missed that. I mean,
Gotta figure out a way to use that to create the farm league that ultimately creates.
Looks like when we had that field built and redone, I had several people say, would you be interested or open to letting other teams or entities use that? I go, absolutely, because we want that pool, we want people coming in and use our facilities, we want it to kind of get that one. But the fact that you said that, the parents and kids, we might be able to start something together.
I think we could get something.
Dave's Creek Little League.
Yeah.
yeah, we get together and talk about it. 'Cause I know Curtis wanted to be involved too, and I tried to pass it off to Curtis and it was all that on somewhere, so.
One other thing about the co-op that just kind of along those lines is one of the good things about keeping baseball, even in a co-op right now, is it's going to keep, in the near future, before we get our own program back, it's going to keep some of those kids at day school. I know for a fact there's maybe 2 families that involves 3, 4 kids, except we don't have baseball, they're not going to put itself on probably in high school. So keeping your co-op and keeping us playing baseball is keeping, and they're good kids, they're the kind of families that we
Now,
want.
we have a few families that have been doing the same thing, somewhere else.
But if we didn't have any baseball, we didn't co-op at all, but they would be transferring their freshman year to South Oklahoma. So that's a good thing.
You can actually see that enrollment split in our enrollment.
Well, yeah, that's it, we just need to.
All right, I see it's already on the action items unless that changed between this one and the one that's up there. On there? Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
So James? Okay, ESD local service plan for 26-27.
Okay, so, what you have on the screen and what you have on the link of your, I don't know if you guys got a hard copy of this.
No.
Okay.
Plan.
So, so normally what I do is I like to go through this service plan, frankly, go through this service plan compared to other years to see what the differences are. And then I like to come back to you guys and tell you what the differences are, so you don't have to do it. Okay? I've not done that. Okay. You know, well, honestly, it was the executive director meeting, but. You know, just so you know, this week isn't gonna be good. No, but in honesty, I don't honestly know what the differences are. Okay, and shame on me. What I would almost recommend is just tabling this till next month so I can. Okay, and so I can really, I'd rather go into it and come back and just say, hey, these are the little nuances to the thing. The other part of it is that I really don't think there's going to be a lot of difference, but I'll tell you what I expect to find. I expect to find that their budget is smaller. And they've lost a lot of money. Okay, would you not agree, Leah? And that if I'm going to discover anything, I think I'm going to discover there's programs that aren't there anymore. Okay, so like one such program is called RIN. It's a Regional Educational Network. We use it periodically when we have a new teacher where they will give us monies to have one of our teachers kind of coach our teacher. We're doing that right now with Donna Bays, who's doing music. Okay, we've got her paired up with Sarah Hooper, who gets paid and trained to do some work with her. Okay, nice little program, but we know that money's going away. Okay, so that's what I expect to see, and that's not because of Sarah Fadal. That's their funding issue. And so that's what I expect to find in that document is where some programs have gone away. And I'd like to be able to report to you guys more specifically on what that is, what those differences are, rather than asking you guys to go through and do all that analysis. I'd rather do that for you. And I could even go so far as even report that to you in a bulletin or something, if it's of that size. If I get in there and find out, oh, wow, this has got a lot of differences, I might just let you know that in the bulletin too. And then just you should really come back and look at this one thoroughly. But our timeline is such that we need to make some decisions on it by the end of February, I believe. So.
Do we pay these guys or what controls their?
Yeah, there's a chunk of money we pay for them every year.
Yeah, no,
And that's what it comes down to is what we're paying them for. And my advocacy has been in agreement with what their proposals have been in the past. Because what we get from them for services is what we need from them. And we're not paying for anything more than what we need.
Okay.
So,
Okay, for that plan, this is really just telling what's available that they have to offer.
Oh, it's
So
kind of
say,
like,
okay, this is what we
Yeah.
want. And then we go and say, so what we do, you know, they do our data collection, we do our HR, we do IT with them, and nursing, and then the big one is special education. So everything we
Special
can
testing.
provide, and the testing, then we pay again.
And they break it up into categories and offer each category at a certain amount.
This is how much they have.
so I don't know if it's radically different. So I really wouldn't feel good at all unless you guys really want it, unless you just felt capricious.
makes sense to me.
It's not an action item, it's just a discussion, so now we've discussed it, we can discuss it again next month if we need to, right?
Where you get actionable.
We'll get back with some more details next month.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
Superintendent report.
So I'm gonna, I was going to, I'd like to share with you a PowerPoint, but I don't know if I could actually access it or not. So what it is basically is I have a PowerPoint that Leah helped me create. And, oh, you've got it. Oh, look at you.
I need to sign in for something.
I swear, that is amazing. Okay, thank you so much. So if you can turn to an active presentation, what this is, this is what I want to share on the 22nd. Okay, so let me give you a sense for what I want to do on the 22nd. That's what my intent is, because I really didn't want you guys caught off guard in some way. So at the State of Your School thing, I want to talk to the community about our community center plans. And what I want to do is I want to let them know that we've solicited already a lot from community and got a lot of ideas. And this is only some of them. And so what I want to do is I want to highlight that everything on this is what we've heard from community. Because I'm going to, after I'm done doing that, I'm going to turn around and say, if we still want to hear from you, what else should we be looking for in our community center? Okay? And so what I'm going to do is just show you how I want to do that, so you'll have some degree of comfort with it. One other component to that entire process is that in my presentation, I also want to share with them a slide, maybe two, but probably only a slide about our district monies. About the fact that we have clean audits regularly, that our spending is conservative, that annually we have savings. We have been able to bankroll that into a capital budget that is substantial. We are responsible people with your tax money. And I think that's important for them to understand, because when you start talking about something like this, they're gonna say, oh man, you know. Right? Okay. I mean, that's the response we get every time. And I understand that. Right? I totally get that. So they need to understand and see right in front of themselves just how responsible we've been for years. There's pattern behavior here on our fiscal responsibility. They need to see that and know that. And we can highlight that further by talking about the seismic grant and the fact that that didn't cost a dime out of our district coffers, okay? We kept inside the budget there, and we're not gonna do anything we can't stay inside the budget of.
Yeah, the fact that we're feeding food at approximately the same cost that is of much better quality and volume.
Yes.
That's a good point to make with this.
Yeah, so what I want to do here is I just want to show the people that, you know, basically what we're looking at is a community center that's multi-purpose. It's a multi-purpose facility, and it's going to answer all kinds of questions that this community has or needs that this community has. If you go to the next slide, I'll highlight the fact that we've got to start with a new cafeteria. The cafeteria we have now, I'm sorry, is really unsatisfactory. Honestly, the tables in there aren't made for the children who are using them. Okay, they're elementary tables for kids. Your kids deserve an apology for ever having to sit those things. Okay, I mean, their knees, no, I'm serious. If you go down there, they sit on the bench, their knees are touching the other side of the table. If they don't hit their head walking underneath the beam. Okay, I'm seriously, and you know, I can go on, but my point is that the cafeteria is a significant need here. And so we want a cafeteria that's large enough to manage our student body, in a fashion that's different than 4 different lunches a day. Okay? That's just ridiculous, okay? The next slide will highlight the fact that this would have a new kitchen in it. Okay, that'd be large enough to serve those students, as well as storage for the kitchen, walk-in freezer, all the things that a modern kitchen should have for a community of this size and for a school this size. That room over there and that kitchen over there was built for a school with less than 100 kids. Okay, we're at 240, right? 235, right? The next slide will highlight the fact that there's been community interest in having some type of a health center, nurse's office, ambulance center, some type of emergency center here, and we're interested in actually partnering with United Health Initiative to do something in that corner of the building. And so having a piece of the building set aside just for emergency services or health services is an important component that we've heard from the community as well. The next slide will highlight the fact that adding classrooms is a good idea just because we're growing, but additionally, conference rooms that the community could use for their own meetings. One of the other things the community asked about was having rooms for maybe UCC to come teach classes here, or maybe even having rooms for the community that wants to have their own meetings here. They should have that in this community center, and that's what these rooms could be used for. Okay, the next slide will highlight the fact that we have restrooms, and the next slide will highlight the stage performing area, which is something that we heard from a number of people is the kids want to be performing and we want to be able to see them performing. We have great shows here, okay? And I think we do pretty well with what we got, but we could do so much better on our kids. And what a program we could build if we gave them a place to really perform. The last slide here shows that there's storage around this facility, not just for the theatrics, but also there's a couple of we need to be looking at having large areas of storage for like emergency services. But this is really going to be a community center in a large place to take care of the community. Then we need to be able to house emergency supplies here for if there is a real serious issue. Currently, this building we're in right now is supposed to be an emergency evacuation area. You guys see it when the fires come, right? You know, Red Cross fires a trailer out here, right? We all know the truth. There's actually a serious emergency thing. That trailer is not going to be diddly, okay? And the community knows that what we really do need is a place where the community could go. We could pull stuff out of storage. It would be food. It would be supplies necessary to take care of our community for a period of time until we could actually start moving back into our homes if need be. And a big enough area that you could play volleyball on it when the tables are up, or basketball on it when the tables are up. It'd be a multi-purpose room that's big enough to do that. We could drop down baskets. You could practice basketball in there. You could practice volleyball in there. You could practice badminton. You could play pickleball in there. Whatever stripes and put on the floor, we can make use of in this gymnasium or in this multi-purpose room. Not a gymnasium.
Could you wrestle on it?
But you can't wrestle in there.
Definitely not.
Because that's gonna be a question.
No, of course you can wrestle in there. You can wrestle until your heart's content in there.
But not during lunch.
Not during lunch. No, we frown on that. Yeah.
Not during basketball practice.
Anyway, but so the intent is to highlight all of the input that we've gotten so far. So the people in the audience who have given that input will hear their thoughts. Because every card that I've gotten, every piece of input I've gotten from community members is in this presentation. And the idea being then that what you're saying to me counts. Okay, and I want to know what's important to the community so we can make sure if we're going to put together a plan for this community center, then your thoughts are in it. Okay, so that we're going to have some chili, right?
There you go.
Yeah, we're going to get them fired up. Okay, we're going to start some food, right? We're going to start some food. But we also want to I just wanted you guys to have a sense for what that will look like because I don't want you to like be surprised by any of that. Of course, I will have my standard talking points about just the progress we're making as a school, climbing enrollment, climbing achievement, all of those things. James will be talking about athletics and what we're doing here, if we're co-opting or whatever we're doing, okay? Kathy will talk about some of our special programs, but I want to highlight this. Additionally, I want to point out, this was originally scheduled for 6:30 on the evening of the 22nd. And it's going to change to 7 p.m. Okay, because when I was at the Chamber of Commerce meeting in Canyonville, they have an activity going on in Canyonville that goes till 6:30, and they were kind of bummed about it. And I said, "Well, you know what? Why don't we push it back a half hour? Would you come?" And they said, "You can push it back a half hour, we'll come." So I've actually got Anna's law, providing the law. We expect to see you there. We'll also have all 4 fire departments present. And the captains will be soliciting the audience for volunteers for our community fire departments. So, good.
Sort of a chili in the cafeteria so they can all see it.
Right.
You know, that's what we did with our conferences. Yeah.
You can start chilling.
So, that kind of takes care of items A and E there from the list. State Ethics Board findings, I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, but Rebecca Sawyer was called to the Ethics Board, because they were concerned for her board actions while Charlie's employment considerations were being considered by the board. Okay, so she went to them and sat before them and after even excusing herself from the conversations, they said technically, and this is what I want to make sure I share with you all, is that if ever there's something in there that you think is a conflict of interest in the agenda, what they said is you need to excuse yourself from the conversation before you get to the primary point. So primary point on the agenda isn't the subcategory, like if you had an issue with a classified contract, we should say on item G, okay? And there's for some reason, there was a conflict of interest there. You should state that before the superintendent's report begins. Before that section begins, yeah. And that was their finding. And she drove to say, look at that. I said, really? She goes, well, she said, I wanted to look them in the eye and see what they really had to say.
Existence justified.
Yeah, and then they gave her a 15-page report.
Oh my goodness.
True story. True story. But anyway, I want to make sure that you guys have that information because I know you guys want to do things correctly. And I actually thought she did a nice job of making sure that that was called out. But in their eyes, it should be just a little bit sooner.
How did she get up there?
She was reported by a community member who watches our meetings and who was concerned for that
Bless their
board
heart.
action.
Whoever's watching.
People watch these meetings?
Appreciate it. We have viewers.
Well,
How do you do
yeah. Okay, so I wanted to touch base on items C and D. They kind of fit together a little bit. Seismic grant application. So we are applying for a seismic grant for, and I worked with WRK on this for our main building. Now, you need to understand our main building is actually in 4 parts. There are parts A, B, C, and D in our main building. This is for parts C and D. So, I have that right over the parts A, B, and C. The 3 parts are 4 parts.
Not A.
Well, it's not A, because A is the oldest part of the building, okay? And it ends where there's that little wall in the hallway. Okay, that's the old building. And everything beyond that is what we've applied for. So maybe it's B and C, but anyway, it's the rest of the building they're looking at doing seismic upgrade on. And so they put in a request for that. We're very highly ranked in regards to need and all of the different look forwards on that. So I think we stand a good chance of getting that grant, but that's just been applied. We've also got them applying a TAP grant for us because that would be necessary if we want to see awesome grant money. Okay? Which would help for paying for a bond if we were to get one. So these are all things that are kind of in motion and we're working with some of the same vendors and we want to make sure that we're not confusing things too much for you because there's also some other grants that are coming out from the state for truss upgrades. You can imagine that. True story.
It's not upgrading. Value.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's correct. It's not upgrading the trusses. It's evaluating them because everybody has to get them evaluated annually now.
Yes.
So the insurance,
But look at them.
yeah, but you can't get them upgraded.
But we have to have it done.
Yeah, well, if you want, or if you want insurance, yeah. And then there's also, another one for, just general facility upgrades that they're looking at. And there's a large audit done by the state for just, facilities, and I think they're trying to get some money into districts for facility upgrades. Yeah. So we're trying to get on all those. Yeah, yeah, we're trying to. I mean, we're paying our taxes and we want our fair share here.
Yes,
So
it's just so frustrating that they dole out all this money and don't allow you to channel it where it's needed the most. Because we know where it's needed the most, yeah, on the screen up there, too.
yeah,
It's not, it's so frustrating.
yeah. But anyway,
Yeah, it's better than.
yeah. And Lee and I were talking about these things today, and there's a handful of these things going on. We just wanted you to know that we're trying to throw our hat into all of them. Okay? And as each of them become clearer, I'll report back to you on which ones we see progress on. Okay? But almost all of them are due this month, I think. Those applications like mid-January. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll be signing those on your behalf. I would have the executive director. So, I want to move now down my list here to past state of schools and to pre-K building upgrades, and let you know that, had a conversation with the county before the break, because we were looking at fire service upgrade. Okay, so what they don't have in the pre-K building is pole stations, like you expect to see in schools, right? Okay, and we were looking at getting pole stations, hooking their system up to our system, all this systematizing of things. And then the executive director had this idea that, he's old. He had this idea, is that even really necessary? They're so far removed. I mean, if we have a fire drill here, do they need to have one there? I mean, if they have a fire there, do we need to empty our rooms here? I mean, what's the real logic of that? Okay, so I had the executive director make a call. Yeah, only, in diligence. Anyway, found out that there's quite a bit of other thoughts on part of the county in regards to what we could do to upgrade that building. Okay, differently than what Preschool Promise thought was adequate. So all of that to say that we are still working on our ADA upgrades. The fire upgrades that are required do not require systematizing to our building. So that's about an 80% savings, yay. But at the same time, the county thought there's some other things that we need to do. And so I'll be coming back to you to talk about the things that we need to do in the order, because there's a list of them. And I don't think that they're overly expensive. They're just meticulous. How I'll frame it.
Can of worms was opened.
That's why he's got to go. He's got to.
Darn
I was just wanting to keep him around, but I'm changing my mind.
I'm kind of tired of the space, frankly. Anyway, so, yeah, he's too much work. Okay, so anyway, I just wanted you guys to know about that. In sincerity, there's some work that was done there. We're gonna still work on the ADA compliance stuff, getting some ramps and stuff done. And that's the stuff that we're gonna do anyway. So we're working on it.
Some of the things will make sense.
Yeah, it'll all make sense in time, but to swallow it all right now isn't necessary. G, classified contract update. Okay. I'd like to blame this on the executive director, but I just can't. So seriously, I got an email from the UNICEF Representative Bob Scots, who left today for, I believe it's Barcelona.
Sounds awful.
Day I come back, he leaves, and he said, actually, this week, that group is reviewing the contract. He doesn't think there's any problems with it. He doesn't think that our counter offers are bad. He thinks they'll be accepted. He thinks it's all gonna come together, but he won't be back for another month.
Wow.
Yeah, so, he gave me the number of another UNICEF representative who could actually help us process it. If everything comes together fine, we can probably still get it all done. It'll just be showing his signature, which we're required to have in time. But I think the most important point to understand is I think it's coming together. The good news is we're not doing this. We're not butting heads on issues. that's not the case at all. We had a couple of negotiation points we ironed out, and he seemed to think they're ironed out. And I think it's gonna come together. By this time next month, I think there's a good chance we just decide. Yeah. I think I said the same thing in December, but it might have been the executive director who said it.
I already know it's going on vacation.
Right, right, you know, yeah. Right, okay, so, and I already told you guys about the school calendar update, so I'm gonna shut up at that point. We're gonna, that has a little bit of work to be done. I'm gonna meet with the staff and solicit that as well as some other information I need to work on anyway, so I'll have all that stuff scored away for you next time we do.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Jane.
Okay,
Not call that guy, like, let's go.
consent agenda items. We have the minutes
Anybody?
for the work session and board meeting. I did have a couple of things on the board meeting that I noticed.
They updated the date.
Thank you. Yeah, because under 7E, it mentioned something about, doing an executive session in January, and I'm pretty certain that since our evaluations weren't going to be in until after this board meeting, that was supposed to say February. And then section 13. It seems a little redundant. There was no executive session, and then it says no executive session. That's all I had. Anybody else have anything? Okay. So there are no contracts to approve. There is the approval of the following designations for the hire of Erin Payne as behavioral specialist. Do they have any questions on that?
She's been here for 2.5 years doing that job. This is a funding source that I told you about before.
Then it looks like, we had a resignation and a retirement. First and second grade.
I don't approve.
No, I don't either. I know. I'm with you.
Do we have to move Aaron to the action item, or can we approve that on consent?
You just under consent agenda.
Yeah, it's consent agenda.
So we can just have a motion
The
for,
whole agenda.
yeah.
I move to approve the consent agenda. item.
Move to second it, all in favor? Everyone, perfect. Leah, the monthly financial stuff.
Okay, I'll have a whole lot today.
Darn.
One of the big things is that we found out that federal forest fees is going to actually, we will be getting that. And they even might be looking at that the last year. We didn't get them last year. And so they're looking at, we don't know how much yet. But that was a good thing. Usually we get about 20,000 a year for them. So if they go back a few years, we can. So that's good news. Get past that. Any change in revenue, our expenditures have been going, right as budget. We're still tracking transportation. That as we have less school days, like so December wasn't as much because we only had 2 weeks. And then same, January we'll have a full month in February. We still haven't had any fights, I guess, for having our own bus drivers. So still looking for anybody to do being our bus driver. It'll save us a lot of money. It's nice to have somebody who just appreciate. Yeah.
This thing of the executive director. That was the first. Did you get past the CDL?
It's what puts it off.
Then the other big one was that we finished up the side light. We got our funding from the state and we paid everybody. The ending balance for the grant ended at $6,000, 6,048. With left of that grant. Okay. So that's kind of nice to get closed.
I think that's not really the right time, but when you're doing your state of the school, I think it's important to let people know that was all paid for with the grant. Because people that saw that going on, they
Yeah.
think, oh, look at that, they spent a bunch of money by deciding for the building.
Well, you know, and they say something about communications, they don't hear the first 2 or 3 times anyway, so.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So that would be, any questions on that board, youth board? And then there's the voucher report. Any questions on that?
When was the tamale feed?
Spanish lines.
Spanish class.
That was right before break, and I think even there was extra that the staff there able to enjoy. Yeah.
We've learned how to make tamales.
Yeah.
The only question I had in the voucher report was on like page 35, and it was the stop laser in the laser recording closet. Is that for the plasma card?
Yeah.
So they're got that up and running again?
Yeah.
Wow.
And there was 2 parts. They weren't sure, he wasn't sure if it was gonna be this particular part is gonna be $4,000, but if we take out, we put the new part in, we can take the old part out, we get to our $2,600 back, so it's short for both of them. So then I found out and said it doesn't think it's just this one, and if that didn't work, then they were gonna have to order this one as well, but then if this worked, then we could possibly keep this. So we're still in limbo,
Trying to figure it out.
hoping it's just one part and not both. But either way, we can get a deposit if we send in the old part.
You got a vet science kit, was that for FFA or?
Yes.
Okay. And then on page 21, there was some, I don't know, a Bloom Bridge for $675. Looks like it was paid with federal grant money, but I didn't know what that was.
Blue Bridge?
Yeah.
That's the next one, McKinney Vento. We got a McKinney Vento homeless grant. That we went through, that's a federal grant, so that's the next title. On the agenda is the next thing I'm gonna talk about. Okay, talk about it here too. But we got money, we happy applied for a 3-year grant for a homeless grant. And we got approved for year 1 with, if it goes well, then they get approved in year 2 and 3. And what we're gonna do is we're starting out here. This company comes in and they train our staff, and we already had some training, and we're done on Friday to do with them. And then so that we can kind of help with homeless students in districts.
When you think about homeless, you have to, you can't think about the guy in the tent by the bridge, okay? The definition, the federal definition for homeless is actually pretty broad. And it has a lot to do with where kids sleep. If where they sleep is their own bed, how many beds are in the home. I mean, there's a whole bunch of factors that could register a student as homeless when you think you're providing them a great home. Okay, so it's a pretty broad definition.
So
We definitely have needs.
And so we got 15,000 with our grant. We actually asked for 10, we gave us 15, so. That's our need is, right? But this will be a kind of we're trying to really start our program so we can continue on. It's training and making sure that all of our staff really understand how we can help these students. So. That's Bloom Bridge, Save Shot.
So why, so it's called a migrant allocation? Yeah,
Yes.
but it's not necessarily for migrants. All homeless or things or?
And then so we
Yes.
find migrant.
Yeah, so McKinley Vento is the name of the law. Title 1C is migrant allocation. So.
Okay. Name.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that our grant can only be used
For
for,
migrant, no,
Right.
no, it's anybody who fits, you
Yeah.
If the money is for training, it's,
Mostly, yeah.
It's for identification, yeah, because, but, okay, so the way it really, transcends the classroom is students who, won't stay after school because they don't have ways home. Okay, or there's a lot of different ways you can identify student need to these things. And so, so it teaches the staff how to kind of keep their eyes open to support students better.
gotcha, gotcha.
Voucher, I guess that's all that I had. Any more, yeah. No questions.
I've seen this shit myself. A little different. We're 2:33. And we have the semesters coming up. And so what we do traditionally is we have students who request to attend here. We won't, particularly this time of year, we won't add them until after semester. It just doesn't make sense. And so I know just this week alone, there's one student I know who's coming to join us after semester, and I've got another one who we decided should not come join us that semester. Because we screen. And this is not somebody who we need to have join us, but point being is that these numbers will probably adjust in February in different ways.
amazes me how much they fluctuate.
Actually, it amazes me how doesn't they fluctuate. From what I see, what I've seen over the course of my time, our numbers are so incredibly solid that, I mean, seriously, it's not unusual to see a 10%, 18% drop from start to finish in a school district. Yes. Not, and the thing that blows my mind is where do they go? You get, well, you know,
Somebody has to be going up. Everybody can't go down.
right, but you know, everybody goes down. That's the thing, okay?
I'll say, pull like it's not rolled.
They just, they go off, they go off, they just give up for the year or whatever the case might be, they just disappear. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
It's a migrant thing.
yeah.
Go pick apples somewhere.
Yeah, that's, yeah. You know, and the state laws with regards to student attendance are really very, very specific, you know. If you're not in that building for 10 consecutive days, it doesn't matter what your reason is, you're dropped. If you go to the Baja to drive your rig for 10 consecutive days, doesn't matter if you own the building next door, you're dropped from enrollment.
My guys have gotten enrolled when we went to Kentucky.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
She almost didn't get in.
She's in district.
You don't. No, I mean, yeah, so the state laws are really strict on that, and I won't get into it, but there's some real frustration behind the way those kids disappear. Not so much here, but they disappear, and then they are still counted as your kids.
They just.
Yeah, so like on your, on attendance things, on your state scores, I mean, on all kinds of stuff. They're still yours until they reappear elsewhere. Yeah, that until their state student ID number reappears in another district, they're yours.
So even like a prearranged absence, so somebody knows they're gonna be gone for a while, 9 days.
Yep.
10 days, that's pretty hard.
That's why we made some real specific designs around Clara. That's how she can be supported outside of school, so she wouldn't be dropped that time. Yeah.
Wow.
We don't get it.
Right, yeah,
And that's ultimately what it's really about.
Get their funding,
yeah,
but you get their scores.
exactly, yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
And also, so just, I'll just like, So in larger districts where you've got multiple schools, it's like, it's piracy out there. What goes on between schools, like if we're both middle school principals, the stuff that happens between schools is just like, you wouldn't even believe it, because it's just the games that are played to preserve your numbers is just, it's crazy. It's just crazy. Yeah. And this, and the state, if their guidelines kind of pit schools against one another. Douglas County's not bad. And this district is actually very good at sustaining our enrollment. Yeah. News about, I'd say we lose about 5% a year. You know, from start to finish. That's not bad.
Items. Baseball co-op, softball co-op. One at a time.
I move we approve action item 12A, baseball co-op.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Everyone? Okay.
Move we approve item 12B, softball co-op. A second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? That's everyone. Okay, there's no executive session tonight. Do I have any directors' report? Anything anybody have to say? No? Announcements. January 13th, home basketball game versus Riddle. January 15th is the end of the semester. January 16th, the teachers get to grade. Also on the 16th, another home basketball game versus rival North Douglas. January 19th, I do believe that's a Monday, there's no school. January 22nd, please plan to attend the state of your schools at 7. And January 29th was another fun Discover You.
That's another one from the community to send them with their, right?
Mhm.
With their businesses.
Activities for students. Each of those vary. And that's plus.
I think I said it from the dating, wasn't it? Dating like this? On Facebook.
Possibly. There's,
Oh, is that February 5th? That's the FFA drive-through dinner thing? Is that what you're thinking?
Nope.
Okay.
There's a career day.
It's a career day. People from the community. Well, I think that's the 29th. The 29th. That's the Discover You. Yeah, I can't find it now, but I know it's not.
Where's the career day? Is it here?
Yeah, it's like people from the community. But I saw, I swear I seen it. I swear it was TV, because that's a day. I do the chicken one, which that's a good one.
Yeah, the right for chicken dinner.
6.
Aw.
Is that, she's on the yeah. It is. 29th, 2 to 3:45. Same times. And it is,
29th is 2 to 3:45?
yeah.
Okay, so that's Discovery University time. That's, yeah.
Yeah, she's probably doing that on purpose. It's probably part of Discover. I can't find the flyer that she's on. Anything on Facebook. Anyway,
Of course not, because now you're looking and even. Yep.
make sure that asking people from the community that own businesses, to,
Yeah, interested in sharing your career, contact Katie.
That is the one that they split, and they have half the students doing that and the other half doing something else. I can't remember what the other half is, but it's a unique one.
yeah, there we are. That's what she looks like.
Do you, okay.
As high school students. So
Do you kind of have your own booth and you talk about your business to this one? That house?
High school alumni and local community members.
All right. And public input.
just waiting for basketball first.
Okay. You're just here for fun and Okay.
So I find all
All right. Let's see. Oh, this leads us to number 17, adjournment. Does anybody want to do that?
I moved to adjourn.
Moved.
I said.
Oh, and double seconded. All in favor?
Everybody. It's a little bit hurtful. A second.
Oh.
You could grab a snack on your way out.
Thank you for the stamps, whoever brought those, what you get?
Put me in wild, good.
Me too.
Before I get home, my wife will, I had cookies before then.
How you doing? All right, I hear you get it. Did I hear something like that?
I told my husband I left early and he's like, where are you going? You're leaving early. I said, driving to Cantonville and get dinner. Looking for me. Absolutely nothing. You're gonna come to school at 6 o'clock. I'm gonna pick up and. Meeting at 7.